No,
This is the Zoom Basics class. Are you in the right place?
Yes,
Oh.
Is it hard to keep track of all the trainings available?
yeah, it's not hard to keep track. It's just that I've been taking them back to back and, I've been online.
Yeah, okay, here's your back.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I want you to get up and do some exercises like move your body, okay? There's no reason why you have to be sitting there in front of your screen atrophy.
How about if I just move my phone?
So that doesn't count. You've got to move your body and let some of that extra, all that activity, all your go up to your brain.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to remember to get up and do some physical exercises between these workshops and these sitting in front of computers. So
yeah.
That is one important thing when you're teaching online or when you're doing anything at a computer sitting down, is to beware of doing too much sitting and staring at a screen. All right, so if you guys want to move around, the more the better. How's that? All right, well, so this is a class on Zoom Basics, and some of you are hanging out here for what reason? You guys have already been through all this stuff, right? Don't you know how to do it?
Not me, I'm new to Zoom.
Oh, well, then I'm just gonna have to stop sharing my screen and take a look at you. Good look! Let's get a good look! And who was that who just said so?
I took breakout rooms already, but actually I should have had this one first, but I learned a lot in breakout rooms.
Oh, good, good. There is so much to learn. And I'm not an expert on this, but I do know enough to teach you something. So I hope that I can impart some knowledge and skills and that you will feel more comfortable doing your job as a teacher, right? So I'm going to be giving you a couple of polls just to find out our status here in terms of what kind of device you're using, because it may look different on a phone or a computer or a tablet. I'm going to ask you about the type of students that you teach. I'm going to ask you what your experience with Zoom is. And then we'll also do some breakouts so you can have some discussion about a discussion topic, which then someone in your group will report out to on a Google Sheet. All right? So that's how we're going to start out here. And so for my first poll, I'm going to click here and ask you the question, what type of device are you on? You're talking about your students, you might find very different answers. You know what I'm saying? Because we have 10 people or 11 people. So far, everybody who has answered has said they're on a computer. Yay. Okay. If we're talking about our own students, they may not have this 100% computer thing, right?
Yeah.
They may be, using tablets or a lot of them might be using their phones, we think.
Yeah.
But it might be a good idea for you to find that out when you're working with your class, so you can find out what the limitations are, because there's not as much real estate here on this screen. And so there are fewer, the app for iOS devices doesn't have all the bells and whistles that the computer has. So the good thing is that you all have computers, so you should teach from your computer.
Can you teach us how to take a poll?
You can poll your students if you have a pro version of Zoom. If you have a basic version, you can't do it in this way. You'll just have to ask them to type in the chat. You'll ask them.
I have a pro. I have a pro.
Okay, so if you have a pro, you can make a poll. Yeah. 100% of the people have decided, oh yeah, let me answer with that. 13 people voted or entered the poll and they say it's a computer. That's what it shows up as.
I see
It's
that.
something too small to read. Okay.
Yeah, this small.
All right. You know what? I don't like what it does.
I have
So
a question.
you do?
Marsha? Yes, can you,
Oh, you're
would
so
you,
shy.
yes. Hi, can you
Hi.
post, would you please post your PowerPoint in the chat? This PowerPoint, or not the, you know, your
What
yeah.
do you mean?
Later.
Oh, you'll do it later.
All right.
Okay.
So wait a second. I'm not going to post it in the chat, but am I recording? Yeah. I think
Yes.
so. Right. I'm recording,
Oh, yeah.
right? Because there's this thing
Yeah.
that says recording. Oh. So I'm recording now, and if all goes well, the recording will come down my computer, and I'll do all the fuzzy stuff that you need to do with videos, and then I will shove it up to YouTube, and I'll give you a link to it through our through Memberly. You're all members of CATESOL, I hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so then you'll be able to access the videos once we get them loaded, but it's not going to be tomorrow, honey. I'm telling you, it'll take a while to.
But I'm wondering if you could
we'll
give us a link, a link, you know, in chat so that we can upload it to our, you know, shared docs and Google Docs.
You mean
presentation?
Oh, okay, well, I will consider that. But in the meanwhile, are you doing the poll?
Did the poll?
Yeah, we had.
Yeah, okay, so 10 of 16 people have done the poll, and now there's 11. So there's still people who are trying to read this list and go like, oh, who do I teach? Who are my students? And then they're going poke, 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 right? Okay, so we have a lot of teachers who are doing adult ed. We don't have any K through 12 kids right now. Okay, they're probably so busy teaching their classes because it is probably school time if they have to be teaching during the day. They're the kids. We have some college. We have some non-credit community college. We have a credit community college. Yep. So 13 of 18 have entered the information in this. And if I end the poll, and if it tells me that I'm sharing it, I wonder if it'll work this time. Okay, so Melody teaches K through 12, but what? But I only had one choice? Oh, I see. I didn't make this poll. I borrowed this poll from somebody else.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so I'm ending the poll. 14 people voted, so to speak, or submitted the poll. And when I click share results, it says attendees are all now viewing poll results. That's what it says.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, I see it.
What?
Yeah.
You can see it now?
Yes.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
nice size. Yes, I can.
Oh, so last time you couldn't see it, but now you can. Why? Okay, I'm going to try it again, and I'm going to go relaunch this poll. So this is live. Now you get to see what kind of troubles you might encounter.
Okay, now I see it. Okay.
Now I
Let
see
me
the
see
poll.
it. Do you see the
Yes.
poll?
Yes.
Good. Now you can take the poll. So I have 16 out of 18 who have completed the poll. That's good enough for me. I'm going to end the poll. And then I want to know if it's true or false when they say attendees are now viewing poll results.
False.
False.
I don't see it.
No, we can't see it.
False.
So I will have to just read it out to you. So 3 people, see, I don't know if this is true or false, say, I've never used Zoom. This is my first time. 11 people admit to having used Zoom as a participant, but not as a presenter. 9 people have attended a Zoom CATESOL coaching session this past week. 5 people have accessed Zoom tutorials and or videos. 5 people say I've hosted or taught 1 to 5 sessions with students or participants using Zoom. Nobody has said they've hosted 6 or more sessions using Zoom. One person says, I can teach others to use Zoom. Oh, good. And 9 people say, I'm excited to use Zoom to teach my students. All right, good. Thank you for that. If you're not excited, what are some other adjectives that describe how you feel about having to teach with Zoom at this moment?
Frustrated.
Overwhelmed.
Frustrated, overwhelmed, okay?
Yeah, I'm excited.
And besides being excited, some of you, it's possible to be excited and frustrated.
Overwhelmed.
And overwhelmed. All of the above? Yeah, okay. So how many of you, okay. So do you see on the bottom of your screen, you do see something that says participants? And then
Yes.
it up,
Yes.
and then you get to see the names of people who are in the session?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And when you look at that, at the bottom of the list, underneath it, you should be able to see yes, no, and all of that, right? Okay. I would like to know if you have participated in a breakout room in Zoom. And this time I want you to click yes, which is green, or no, which is red, to the question, have you been a participant in a breakout room, a Zoom breakout room? So I want you to click one of those, either yes or no. All right, I see a few people have clicked.
Where do we find those questions?
Okay, so I want you to try this where you look at a place that says participants at the bottom of your screen. Do you see something?
Right. I clicked it, but nothing happened.
All right, so when you click it, do you see a box come open and then you can see a list of our names?
Let's see.
I'm going to show you a screenshot. Are you able to see what I just showed you, which shows participants at the top? And then it says CATESOL organization host me. That's me for now. My name is really Marsha Chan, but you know, I'm coming under that. And then it says Dean and Carrie and Michael and Aylin, and then ... And then there's this yes and no. Do you see the yes and no?
Yeah, I see it on yours, but mine doesn't look anything like that. Mine just looks like text.
Okay, so do you have one that says participants at the top, or do you have just the chat window?
It just looks like text. It shows the names of the people. It looks like what time they signed on.
Okay, that's the chat window.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that's different from the participants window.
Is he working from a computer or a cell phone?
Computer. I clicked the button that said participants, but then I got something that looked like the chat window you said, right?
Uh-huh. So maybe it's stuck together with it. But what you need to find is something that looks like this window that I'm showing you now.
Michael, see if you can go down to the bottom of your computer. Instead of on the side, it's actually at the bottom. You'll have to kind of hover your mouse over at the bottom, and it will say participant like 19 right now next to the share screen bar at the bottom. And then click on the participant, and it'll give you the pop-up window for that.
Yeah, I clicked, that's what I did the first time. I clicked on the participants.
So
and now it's in the Zoom toolbar at the bottom of the screen.
So do you see something that looks like this? If you're a participant on a computer, then your toolbar should look like this one that I'm showing you here. And do you see the word participants?
Yeah, I clicked that.
Uh-huh.
That's what I did.
You did.
And then I got what I described, which just looked like text on the side.
Is there a way that you can open the window a little wider, a little longer?
Oh, now I see something.
Oh, good. Good.
Where did that come from?
Oh, well, it came from Zoom. This is zoomed right in.
Where did that?
Where'd it go?
Maybe if you go to full screen so that you block out everything else besides the Zoom meeting.
All right, so we were looking at this one in order to find out where the participants button is located. And what I'm going to do now is ask you to talk with your the members of your breakout room. What do you want to learn? What do you need to learn? Or what do you hope to learn about Zoom that will help you teach your ESL students this coming week? Okay. And when you're talking, you should decide, you can designate or volunteer, have one person become the recorder. And I want you to record your group's answers in this little form. So one person will be typing that and entering for each group. So one submission per group. So you're going to be discussing this question. What do you want to do? What do you want to hope to learn today in this short session that will help you teach your students next week? So I'm going to put this same URL to a Google form in the chat window. And when you get to your group, you will decide who's going to share that information in the Google Doc. Does that make sense? Any questions before we begin the breakouts? Okay, now I'm going to create breakout rooms, and there'll be 3 or 4 of you in each room. And you'll be discussing the question. What question? The question is, what do you want, need, or hope to learn about Zoom that'll help you teach your ESL students this week? Okay, so one moment while I create the rooms. Hello, hello. People coming back into the room.
Hello.
Hello.
And I wanted to share the responses that you made with your groups. According to your answers, the number one most important Zoom question is, students don't have computers, just phones, how to conduct a lesson. Okay, breakout rooms, 3 people. How to use quizzes. Be able to use the technology to use Zoom confidently. Number 2 question, do I need only use chat with phones? How to share sound. Do students need to use 2 devices to do Kahoot in class? Learn to navigate, create an account, and invite students to Zoom. Learn and instruct students in breakout rooms using Zoom. Third question, can I send photos of textbooks pages to students? How to use a virtual whiteboard? Is there a video so we can send students to familiarize them with Zoom before class? Learn how to interact with students using internet games. Use share screens like Kahoot or other internet apps. Number 4, how to play games and share documents and ways to keep students engaged. All right, well, thank you very much for sharing your wants, needs, and desires. Okay, we will touch on some of those today. Now, we already have sessions on actual apps that are outside of Zoom. So I'm not going to talk about anything that's not related to actually using the Zoom interface. You can use the Zoom interface to do many, 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 many uncountable things. Some of them include using apps, and other teachers have given workshops. Some of you may have attended them, and will maybe go back to those the sites that were the resources that were given to you then to find out more about it. And I hope that after a week or so, we'll be able to upload all the videos of sessions that you can review at your own pace if you go through the CATESOL membership. But what I'd like to do now is to share with you some things, some basic things about getting into Zoom room, such as just how to join a meeting. What do you do in order to join a meeting? So let's take a look. One of the ways, there's always more than one way to do something, but one of the ways is type in the address bar zoom.us. So notice it's not a .com, it's a .us, zoom.us. And when you want to join a meeting that you know is happening or going to happen pretty soon, you can click on this join a meeting link. Click this link and you can click join a meeting, right? So when you click join a meeting, what will happen is you'll get another screen that looks like this one here, and it'll have your name if you've already entered it, or you will enter your name. In some cases, I noticed that the teachers have said, oh, there's something already in there already. And that might be because you belong to a college that has a Zoom account, and it may already be populated with your email address. And your email address might be easy to figure out because like mine is marsha.chan@wvm.edu. So that's pretty obvious, first name dot last name. But other schools have different ways of putting the email in, and it might look like an unpronounceable thing because it's only a bunch of initials and part of another name. So you can change that by typing your name in here. I could put Mickey Mouse if I wanted to, or Donald Duck, or something like that, but I chose to write Marsha Chan, all right? Now, here it also gives you the option to remember my name for future meetings. So if you plan to have more than one session with this group, then, and you're always gonna be known as Marsha Chan, then you can also leave that in there by clicking this button. Now, the next one says, don't connect to audio. I think there's no reason for you to click that because you would like to hear and speak, right? So don't click that one. The next one says, turn off my video. I say select this because video is a very hoggy, it takes a lot of bandwidth to do video. When we are talking right now, you can see me and you can hear me. When I stop my video and you cannot see me, you can see my picture, but you can't see me, then it's not transmitting as much data as when I'm just speaking alone. All right, so when I'm charging in, I figure that I might as well get in as fast as I can. So I say to join the meeting, just turn off my video, and I'll turn it on later on if I desire to do that. You'll also need to have an ID number. So you need to enter the meeting ID number. If somebody gave you a meeting invitation, then, or you know that the room number is always going to be this. So let's say you are doing a class and you always go to the same class. For example, a lot of you have attended more than one workshop here with CATESOL, and you'll see that the join meeting number is the same, and it will save it in memory if you like, and you can come back to it easily. Like this one, in this case, if you're returning to a room that you used before, then you can find it right here. If you find it here, then all you need to do is select it and click join rather than typing it in digit by digit and clicking the join menu. So far, so good? Any questions so far? Clear?
Yes, good.
Okay, so I'm going to show you.
Marsha, I'm sorry. Just a quick question. Now, you said that we need to mute the video for the students, or the students will mute?
Okay, this is, okay, right now, here I am in the section called join a meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
in the section about creating something. All right, so we will get to I will have slides to show you about setting your own host session up. But when you're joining a meeting, this is one of the you have your choice of turning on or turning off your video.
So I'm showing this to the students, or I'm signing in?
I am showing this to you as a teacher. Please note, I am showing to you to this as a teacher. You can also show this to your students and have them keep their videos off because it doesn't take so much bandwidth. That's the reason I recommend it, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Okay.
Okay? So if you're showing this to your students and they're working from their phones and they're using data on their phones, maybe turning off the video is a less expensive method for them. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, but they don't have to. It's all.
Marsha, when I joined the meeting, you said I have the option to go and change my name because I always get my email address put up instead of my name. but the minute I click join meeting, it takes me directly to the meeting.
Okay, so then there's a way for you to change it. And can we get to that in another slide?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so when you came in, you might not have had that same way. As I said, there's more than one way to join a meeting. Probably you join a meeting by clicking on a link and actually from a phone. I will go over some screenshots that I took on my iPhone so you can see the difference. Now I noticed that all of you who did the poll today said you were working on a computer. So I'm showing you the stuff from a computer first. You may enter a classroom like mine where it says the meeting is being recorded, and then you go like, oh, okay, sure, and then you click continue, right? Does that happen to you today when you entered this class? Okay, and the reason is because in our CATESOL organization for this series of workshops, we have the automatically record right away in our settings. You can do the same thing if you wish. We'll talk about recordings more later. Now, when you finally click your Zoom, your join Zoom class, or session, you will notice possibly a black screen with your name on it when you enter. Or you may see a black screen with your photo. So what's the difference? If you already went into your profile, which I will show you later on, and you uploaded a picture to your profile, then a photo will appear. If you never did that before, what will appear? This on the left, whatever you see on the left, black screen with a name. Does that mean your name disappeared? No, it means your name got smaller and got pushed down to the lower left corner of the black video screen with your photo in the middle. So you notice that the people in our room right now, some of us have the videos on and some of us have the videos off. And with the videos off, some of us have black screens that have only a name and no photo. And that means that those people have not entered a photo into the profile. With the others, you notice a photo. That means that they went to their profile and inserted a photo. And we'll see that some other time. Okay, so now in the bottom left corner, two important buttons are the microphone and the video. The microphone and the video camera. So the microphone in this case is off. It is muted, and you can tell that because it's got a red slash through it. You also can tell that the video is off because it has a red slash in it. The video camera is off. And you'll see that the choice that you wish to change it to is written there. So because the microphone is off, it says unmute. That means if you want to unmute this, click this button. If you want to start the video, click this button. So we're going to click this, and then we're going to get another screen. So when we click the start video, then we can change from the picture of me to the video of me. All right, so on the left is a picture of me, and you'll see the icon. And on the right side, you see the icon now has no red slash through it, and instead it says stop video. So in this case, the video camera is on. The microphone is still muted. So that means in this view, I could be moving around and you can see my lips move, but you can't hear anything coming out of my voice. All right. Now, another very small icon that you should take note of is a very small red microphone with a slash through it. It's located just a tad bit above the unmute button. So whenever you're looking at the gallery view or the speaker view, you can see all the other the participants in the room. Right now, most people have their mics muted. How do you know that? Because there is in the lower left corner a red icon that looks like a microphone with a slash through it. Okay, now, if the video camera is on now, all right, but the microphone has a slash through it, if you want to hear from me, I have to click unmute. So when I click unmute, then you see no slashes. My name appears right above, and now when I say hello, you'll be able to hear me. The microphone is on and it's unmuted. So those are two two icons that you should really pay attention to, because sometimes you'll be speaking but nobody can hear you, and you're wasting your precious words of wisdom because your mic is muted. If your participants are savvy, they'll say, "Hey, Marsha, unmute." In fact, one of the lessons I think it's important to do with our students is to have practice saying mute and unmute, saying stop video and start video with each other. Now, as I said, from an iPhone, it will look different. I'm going to find out, so there is somebody who's making a bit of noise here that is probably not helping us here. So there are some of you, I wonder if you would mind, if you wouldn't mind, can you mute your mics until you wish to speak? Do you know how to do that? So Dean, can you mute? Yung, can you mute? Linda, can you mute? All right, actually, I can mute all of you, but I'm trying to teach you how to do it. So some of you have figured that out, and others are still working on that part of it. So click the mute button in order not to make so much noise. All right, now let's take a look at what happens on an iPhone, because your students may be using a phone. I cannot tell you what it looks like on an Android because I only have an iPhone. But when you join on an iPhone, it looks like this. And then you click the button that says join meeting, and then you enter the meeting number here. And my name shows up automatically because it's the name of my phone. Now this is a place where I can change the name if I wish to change the name, but otherwise I'll leave it that way and I'll click the join button. So here is where, if I want to turn off my video, so my video is not streaming, I would click this slider here. It would turn blue, and then my video won't appear when I enter the room. You'll get something that asks you how you want to hear audio. So one way is to call using internet audio, which is, I think, the easiest way. The other one is to dial in, like you're actually typing in the phone number. I want you to look at the bottom of the screen because it is different from the toolbar on the computer. At first, the first little icon here, it's quite small, and I'm going to bump it up so it might make it easier to see. This one says join audio. This one says start video. This one says share content. This will be participants. And then it also has a ... which means if you click on that, more options will appear. Now, in this particular case, the host is not in the meeting room yet. So this is why it shows here. Here, after clicking use internet audio, notice that this icon with the headset to join the audio has changed into a microphone. So that means now, let's say your students are on their phones. If it shows as a microphone, then they should be able to participate orally with you. Now, I want to talk a little bit about considerations for having the mic on or off, having the video on or off. It's good to have all the microphones and videos on for a couple of reasons. One of them that I can think of is that it helps create community. It makes you feel like you belong to a class and everybody is here and we can talk to each other. We can see each other. It could also be a little bit of a problem or a disadvantage in that all microphones on can hamper the listening environment. Maybe somebody is, coughs and sneezing and slurps. Sometimes there are side conversations with somebody in your environment who doesn't think you're doing anything but looking at a screen. They don't realize that your sound is going out. And then there are all sorts of other noises that might be in the participant's location, whether it's other people walking by or talking to each other, or you've got animals barking, or you've got the garbage truck coming by your side window. So a lot of those things are to be considered. And another one which we noticed when I joined a small group is that sometimes an individual's connection is not very good, and it could be an equipment problem, and it could also be an internet problem. So the different things that might cause interference. One thing about using video that I mentioned before, but I'd like to repeat, is that video requires much greater bandwidth, and therefore it can cause slowing speed and it can create lag. In other words, you may see my mouth moving at this rate, but not hear the contents of it until later, or vice versa. And then for your students' sake, it depends if they're able to log in from Wi-Fi, or they're out of Wi-Fi range and they're paying for data transfer. The video is heavier in that regard. All right, so I wanted to show you a couple of more screens from an iPhone. I know you were able to find the chat window when we are working from a computer. When you're working from a phone, then it's very small space. But if people are on their phones, they're used to phones, then they may be they may have dexterous digits to type the letters they need to type. So here is a sentence that says, "Hello everyone, I'm glad to be here," and then you just click the send button and you can send it away. This screen shows a way for you to name your, to rename your device. So when my phone came up, it took the name that's already called, like, did you name your phone? My phone is called Marsha's iPhone 11 Pro. And your phone might just say iPhone or whatever it is, unless you went into a profile and changed the name of it. Well, no matter what, that's probably the default that will show up. So you can click on it to rename it, and I could put in Marsha's A+ student. And if I like that name, I'll click done. So this is what you can do too, or you can have your students do. If your students are logging in from phones and their phone has a foreign language on it, it might be hard for you to know who's attending your class. So you may want to teach them how to put their name in English, at least in the way that matches up with your roster, in a way that you will know that they actually belong to your list of students. Okay, I muted Linda because we were getting a lot of feedback. Okay, so when you see anything at the bottom of a screen or on top of the screen that has ... that's more information. It means you can click there and see another menu to find other information. I'm not going to go over what's in there, but just give you an idea that when you are working from a phone, it's quite a bit different than when you have a whole screen like this. You'll remember that we have some certain bars, right? Toolbars. Now, the host on the computer and the participant on the computer are very similar, but they do have some differences. I'm gonna move them a little bit closer just to make sure that you can see which things are the same and which are different. If you are teaching the class, you are the host. So at this moment, I am the host and you are participants. So here's what mine shows, and here's what the other one shows. Of course, the number is different, but we both have the mute and stop video on the left side. Those are important buttons to keep your eye on. Invite, you probably won't need to keep your eye on that one so much. I'm hoping that you will be able to send out your meeting invitation to your class if you are teaching from a college, for example, you're using Canvas as your LMS, then you will already have all your students populated in your course management system, and you can just send them the information, or you can post it on your announcement page every day, or every what day at what time you're going to have a face-to-face, a Zoom lesson, a video lesson, and they should log into the same address each time. So those are a couple of ways that you could do it. But they have this one for invite if you need to invite specifically one by one. I don't think you'll probably need to do that when you're teaching a class, but it's good for if you're doing with gathering your friends together. Notice that on the computer, you have something that says participants, whereas I have something that says manage participants. So I can manage, and as participants, you can see, but you can't change anything. All right, so you should see the participants, and you can see that there are 19 participants in our room now, right? Do you see the word 19 at the bottom, your screen? All right, when I click on manage participants, I will be able to see 19 names in here, and I will also be able to ask you if you say yes or no to certain questions, as I have done earlier. I did that earlier in the presentation. Share screen is an important one. Now notice that it's possible for, it's green on both of them, which means that I have set it up so, of course, I can share screen. The host always should be able to share. But the question is, do you want your participants to be able to share their screen? Now, in this series in CATESOL, since we are talking to teachers, we are allowing our students, not really students, but our colleagues, to share screen. You can decide whether you want your students to be able to share screen or not. And you might want them to share screen, and there might be times you don't want them to, or you're afraid that they will just hit the button without knowing what to do, and you don't want to do that yet. So you can set up your class to allow or disallow share screen. The next button is the chat, and as you know, when you click the chat window, what happens? You get, when you click the chat icon, then your chat window should show up. Where does your chat window show up? It might show up like to the right and kind of glued onto your main screen. Or it could show up smack in the middle. And then what can you do? You can drag it to one side. So if you haven't gotten it open already and you hit that and it comes smack in the middle and you're saying, oh, it's covering up my view of what, then you can just drag it somewhere else on your desktop. Now, of course, if you're on a phone, you don't have that luxury because your desktop is quite a bit smaller. So generally speaking, it will take up the whole screen. So if you have a lot of students who are on their phones, you will need to realize that they are less able to do this multi-screen, this sort of thing that I'm doing right now, and that maybe some of you are very good at doing. It will be harder for people who are on their phones to do that. Some people are very facile with their phones and they can move from on screen, but some of them are just like, just show me what's on there, and then when you're done, take it away. All right, so notice that on the teacher's toolbar, there's some things that says record, but there isn't one. Oh yes, there is. There is one on the participants. So this again is a setting that where you can video record the whole session or part of the session. As you know, we're recording right now, and you can see that some red button showing that we're recording. In fact, here you can click on it to record, you can pause it and so forth. You can also allow or disallow recording for your students. That's done in a setting. Now, reactions is something that is on the participant side over here. But on the teacher side, the host side, it's farther out because there's some other options that are not available to participants. What are reactions? Reactions are little emojis that allow you to give a thumbs up or clap when you hear or see something that you think the presenter is doing that makes you feel, wow, that's pretty good, or I like that. Okay, so if you want to teach your students how to use those emojis, then it's under reactions. So the two buttons that are different are closed caption. Closed caption, I've not used. I heard that another teacher said it required a request, and then the request had to be 5 days before your event. Why? Because that means that they would have to assign someone to listen to you speak and type really quickly, like they do in court. You know, in court, they have court reporters and they're listening to you and they're typing, and they would be typing what you're saying and putting that up. So it takes time to get that one arranged. The next one is breakout rooms, which is really cool. And I know some of you attended the breakout rooms, and probably Ryan showed you about breakout rooms, where you click this button and then you find, you are given, it shows you 19 people, participants. You can break them up into rooms, into pairs, or to groups of 3 or groups of 4, and then you can have it done automatically, or you can drag and drop people into specific rooms. Like when you know your students, you can do it by whom you know should be together in rooms. And there's also a way for you to pre-assign breakout rooms and import that through a CSV. That I will show you in the settings section. There is, on the right side, the last one that's red. One of them says end meeting and one of them says leave meeting. Why is that? If you're a participant, you can leave the meeting, but you don't control the meeting. You can end the meeting if you are the host. All right? Does that make sense? All right, so I would like to pause for the moment here to see. No, I have 2 more things to show you. And then I'll ask for some interaction. All right, so maybe you have found the difference between speaker view and gallery view. Have you noticed that already? So those buttons are on the top right of your screen. Gallery view means you get to see everybody in I guess a 5x5 grid. And notice here on the right side, it says 1/2. That means if I want to see 26 and so on, I have to click here and I'll go into a new screen and I'll see all the people who are beyond the 25th person. If I go to speaker view, then what happens is that the microphone or whoever is speaking will draw the heaviest weight, and that will come into the middle of the big screen. So you can change that on your view by clicking, toggling between speaker view and gallery view, right? Okay, any questions before I tell you how we set up as a host? Okay,
Marsha,
yes, I'm listening.
I haven't got that reaction thing on my screen.
You haven't got a reaction thing on your screen?
No.
You don't have that button?
No.
You can't react to me then, too bad. You'll just have to go, ah, ha, 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 and then I'll hear you.
Okay.
I don't know.
Marsha?
Thanks for hearing that. Yeah.
I would really like a copy of this, because it will help me so much in setting up, and you know, if you can provide it for me in my Google Docs.
Okay, it's not a Google Doc yet. I'm doing it on my local computer, but I'll gussy it up. You know, it's a work in progress, you know. And,
but it's so great, you know. I mean, this is the kind of tech support I need for setting up for my classes. I'm so frustrated with it. Okay, well, we do want to
lower the level of frustration. So I will make it into a Google Doc that I'll share.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Are you guys ready to find out what you do to set up as a Zoom host, or do you have some other questions?
I have a question.
Okay, Young, go ahead.
I try to do the Zoom on phone and then I cannot hear you from the phone. All I see here, like.
Okay, because on the bottom left, you didn't do that part. Okay, let me go back to that screen. All right, do you see my screen here? Okay,
Yes.
so right here at the bottom left, you see right here? At the bottom left, there is a, I'm going to do the spotlight. Am I to spotlight? Okay, so right here, it says join audio. You didn't join the audio. You need to click that. Click join audio. And then you will click on call using internet audio. And then after that, it'll turn into this. And when it turns into this microphone, then you can speak. Then it'll mean you have connection, audio connection.
Really all I see is on my phone. Dial in and call.
Yeah, okay, so click call, yeah, device audio.
Call via device audio.
Yeah, do device audio.
Okay, I got it.
Work? Solved the problem. Okay.
I have a
All right,
question.
now you have a lot of feedback, so you got to turn that volume off. Now that you know how that works, turn it off. So turn it off. Yeah, and mute. Can you mute your phone? Your.
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay. Good.
Marsha, I have a question also about the iPhone. When I have the chat screen come up, how do I get back to the other screen from the chat screen?
Is there a little X? You see a little X?
So, actually, I'm not quite in it yet. Is this the correct number here? No, it's not. Join the meeting. I'll have to put the correct number in here.
Okay, here's the answer. It's not an X on the iPhone. It says close. Can you see my drawing here?
Okay.
Okay. So chat. And then it says. I'm gonna clear my drawings. Okay.
Close on the upper right-hand corner, then.
Yeah, that would be close. Close the chat, and then that way you'll get back to
the main screen, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
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 All right. Can I go on to show you how to get set up?
Yes.
All right. So let me show you some things, and I hope they don't boggle your mind. But I wanted to point out stuff that would be your options for setting things up. Okay. So you're going to want to create an account if you don't already have one. And you need to do this to prepare to host a meeting. We're talking about preparing to host a meeting now, right? So you host a meeting means you're going to give a class. If you already have an account, you just click sign in. If you don't have one yet, you click sign up, it's free. If you need an account, you can get a free account. If you get a free account, it's a basic account. The basic account does not have as many features as the pro account. I'm using a pro account, and I did polling. Polling is one of the things that you can do if you have a pro account, and a few other things like that. If you already have an account, you can simply go to Zoom and sign in. Is there a question?
Otherwise, we have to create an account, huh?
Right. If you don't have an account at all, then you need to go sign up. It's free. Okay, and you go there. So when you get in there, you're going to sign up, and they're going to ask you for your email and all that old stuff. Okay, so then you now have an account, and you have this basic free account, perhaps, right? So in any case, you're going to want to check your profile and make some changes. In your profile, when you click on your profile, there's a place for you to insert your photo. It says change from nothing to something, right? Or I changed my photo a couple of times. So I changed my photo I inserted my photo here by clicking the word change and then going to my desktop and finding a photo and then sticking it in there. Okay? It's very easy. You just do that. right? Okay, so what else is there? This is your personal meeting ID. So you might just want to write that down somewhere else, just to be surezies, you know. And you might want, if you have an if you're emailing your students, you say my Zoom meeting is always going to be ... hyphen ... and then they'll keep that in their memory somewhere or on their screen. All right. My sign-in email is going to be this. Your sign-in email is going to be whatever it is. I heard that they were allowing everybody with a .edu account, mail account, to get an upgrade to a Pro. So you might be able to get one if you have a .edu. I already have one, so I'm cool.
Does it have to say EDU?
That's what I heard. I don't know because I don't need one. I already have one. That's what I heard. That's what I heard people talking about. Okay. I also have a personal account, which is not a, that's a .com. All right. So that one's a basic, and I can't do everything that I'm doing here. I couldn't do the poll, for example. And I also had a 40-minute maximum class time. So you can have a class of 40 minutes and then log out and log back in 40 minutes. So if you have a basic account, your classes should be 40 minutes in length, period. That's it. And then you start your class again. If you say, okay, now we break for 10 minutes and we're coming back. So it's not a big deal. It's just that you have to come back in again. It will tell you whether you are a license or you have a basic. So my other one says basic. And my capacity here, my capacity meeting is 300 people can come in. In the other one, it's fewer, and I don't think it's gonna be a problem with your class, like 50 or whatever. My language is English. My time zone is what, Pacific time. The date format is gonna be month, day, and year, and so on and so forth. Okay, the main thing I want you to do on this page is to add your photo. Add your photo, please, because that way your students will be able to know they're in the right class, because they're gonna be attending more than one class, probably. Now notice that, yeah.
Is this where I change my name so my email address isn't always coming up, and how I want to be seen, the name?
I believe so. Yes. So
where do I do that?
Okay. So do you see on my screen it says Marsha Chan, on the right side it says edit. So I could click there and change my name. So you can look at yours and see if yours is already like that. Or when you're signing up, maybe you will be able to do it. Okay, but in your profile, take a look and see whether that's what it shows up as. We're going to click the next link, which is meetings. And so when you go into meetings, these are the things that you will want to do. One is to either click schedule a meeting at the top, or this button that says schedule a meeting. This means you can schedule, like if you meet every Tuesday, Thursday from 9 o'clock till then you can schedule a meeting for that time. So how do you do it? You will get a window that pops up, and the pop-up window is going to show you a lot of options. And these options are the ones that I think are the most important. First of all, enter your topic or your class name in the topic button, in the topic box, probably your class. Enter the description if necessary. So it could be, this is your class, and then, this is ESL 970G, and then you're saying advanced grammar and editing, or whatever you want to put there. Then it's the time and date, duration of your course. So you're gonna toggle this to, or use the calendar to put in when you want the class to start, at what time, and and the duration, how many hours in minutes. And your time zone, you probably won't change. And you can decide, you can click here if it's a recurring meeting, if it's going to be every N days, right? If you do the recurring meeting, then it'll ask you how often do you want it to be. Don't require registration, and leave it at your personal meeting ID so that your room number is always the same. This is my advice. You have your options, but this is my advice. Don't require a password. Host video on, participant video on, so that you allow that all to be shown. If you turn it off, that means they can never use their video. Audio, it says telephone and computer audio I just leave it at the default, which is both. And then meeting options, which you can change. Now, one of the things that is allowed is that the participants can enter before the host. Did you enter my class before I did? Any of you? Well, some of you were left over from the last class, but I had to kick you out, right? Because then I had to take control over the other of the class from the last presenter.
Right,
So,
I came in a couple minutes before Marsha, but then I had to log out because
yeah, right. In that case, that was a little bit different. So this would mean, like, suppose your class is at 9 o'clock and there's nobody before you. Do you mind people coming in before or not? If you want to say, sure, they can come in and do their chit chat before you start class, then you would turn this blue. You would turn this on. You could also say, I don't want people to talk before I do, and you can mute them upon entry. That means they are muted automatically, but they can also, they can still turn themselves on. But some people might be noisy when they're coming in, and you can mute them. So that's another option. Enable waiting room. This means that nobody can come in to your class yet, but they're in what is called a waiting room, and you have to go out to the waiting room and open the door. And like every time somebody knocks on the door, you have to open it. I mean, like you get a ding dong and you have to go and press a button to allow people to enter. So that happened a couple of times in somebody else's session where this button was turned on. And so the presenter had to keep on manually allowing each person to come in. So you can do that if you want. That was done kind of unwittingly. So she was glad that I was there to, that we had each other, we were backing each other up and helping people in. Only authentically, no, don't need it. Breakout rooms pre-assigned. Okay, this is where if you pre-assign, like you already know what your class roster looks like, you know who belongs with each other, and they're, you've gotten certain term paper teamwork, or they're working on a project, and you want to give them time to chat together, always with the same group, then it's possible for you to pre-assign a break room. If you don't do that, then you can just do it the other way, which, it's pretty simple. Okay, now, let me show you some other options that are given on this very long option list. This is where you can allow or disallow starting with videos for the host and the participants. So in this case right here, you can see the host video does not come on, but the participant's video does. That's in this view. You can change it. It's all a toggle. This is whether you allow the participants to join the meeting before the host or not. So this one shows that. And there's a bunch of other things that I think are less important, so I'm not going to spend much time. I want to go on to another part that's about chatting. So this one, you turn this on to chat, to allow students to chat to everybody, as well as to chat privately to one person within the group, and whether you allow your participants to save the chat. So notice I put all of these on. And there's one where you can hear, you can play a sound. So are you hearing ding dong sometimes when people
Yes.
play? Yeah. So that's because this setting is here. If you find that to be annoying, you can turn it off. You can make it heard by the host only, and then the participants don't know, right? Or you can just turn it off, and it's like if people come in and go out, and we don't care, and we don't want to know about it. So it's up to you. That's a setting. You do have to set that before you start the meeting. Allow final.
Marsha, if I have a recurring meeting and decide to change one of the options, can I go back and do it, or
Yeah, you
no?
can. Yeah, sure. You go back and change it before you start your session. Yeah, you can change it. Yeah, sure. You have a recurring meeting, and that doesn't change, but you want to change that now. You're going to allow them to send files. Before you didn't allow them, and now you are. Yeah, you can change it. Okay, here's one to allow co-hosts. This is really good if you're doing something and you need somebody to help you out and have almost as many privileges as you do. So in some of these sessions that we are doing, especially at the beginning, we allowed somebody else to co-host because we were all trying to figure this out together. And this one allows the host to put an attendee on hold. That means if you think somebody's being really obnoxious or somehow their computer is not is just creating problems for the rest of us, you might be able to do that. You can allow the host to put somebody on hold. In this instance, it's not on, but that's an option. Okay, what else do I want to show you? Screen
Marsha, can I ask a question about the co-host? Where do you assign the co-host?
You assign it in participants. I can show you. Okay, so when you're in the participants window, you can assign somebody to be a co-host. That's where you do it. Do you know what I mean by the participants window?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Now let's talk about screen sharing. I'm screen sharing now, right? So I have this option here that screen sharing is available. I mean, duh, that's a really good thing. I don't know why you'd ever want to turn it off. And the question is whether it should be done only by the host or by all participants. So you have to gauge your students and their abilities or their tendencies or whatever and make a decision. And in this case, because we're all working with teachers, we said all participants. Who can start sharing when somebody else is sharing? Here it says the host only. That means if somebody starts sharing, as has happened in our group where somebody does it by accident, they just punch a button and whoa, all of a sudden we're still looking at their desktop, then I can click share and it basically takes the share away from the participant into what my view is. But you can make it so that anybody can poke anybody and grab the sharing. You can decide that.
Probably host only.
Yeah, well, that's why I put host. Okay, allow annotation. So you see that I you have an annotation, an annotate button or icon on your let's see, where do you find it? Is it at the top of the screen?
View options. View options at the top.
Okay. Yeah. So if right now it's given everybody the option to draw on my screen, right? So you can take your thing and just. So right now we've given that power to it's on. So you could probably do just as well, right? And so I can, and when I do that, I can clear my own drawings, or I can clear the viewer's drawings, or I can clear everything. So the annotation is I think it's pretty handy, so I leave it on. Whiteboard is cool. Whiteboard we haven't even shown you too much about, but whiteboard is a place where you can all write stuff. And so I would say leave that on. Remote control, allow remote control, that happens to be on. Nonverbal, nonverbal feedback, what does that mean? It means the emojis thing, so that the emoticons are available for participants to show they're happy or their thumbs up or they're clapping. And breakout rooms, definitely put your breakout rooms on because you want to be able to do what we did in small groups. That's where you as the host can split the meeting participants into separate smaller rooms and for discussion or listening, speaking, or reading and writing kinds of tasks. And I also checked that it's possible for the host to assign participants. So for example, I put you all in groups, and then somebody else walked in the room, and so then I dragged that name and dropped it into a breakout room, because otherwise that person would be standing out in the main room and thinking nothing's happening in this class because everybody was away in their small rooms. When you're in a breakout room, you cannot hear other people, and you will not see other people. You're not aware of other people. So if everybody's gone to a breakout room and somebody walks in, then they don't know where everybody is. So that's why the host should say, oh, okay, I'll take you somewhere. I want you to know that there's lots and lots more support that you can find at support.zoom.us. They have some really wonderful training videos, and they're very succinct. They don't blather as much as I do, but then they also have made, nice shiny videos that bring in a lot of different elements that you can see the screen easily. You can access that also when you're in your own profile, because I showed you these before, but I want to point out that on every page, you'll see links to attend live training where you can get started with Zoom meetings. You learn more about Zoom meetings. You learn about, there's one called Zoom Meetings for Education, and lots more. And there are video tutorials. That means there are these recordings that you can take a look, and you might want to know how to do the meeting controls, how to do the breakout rooms, and lots more, and a whole knowledge base. So all of these things are available through zoom.com. And I want you to take advantage of it. Also, when you just go onto your web browser and Google your question regarding Zoom, it will come up, because a lot of people are trying to help each other out and putting together fact sheets and little video clips to show how to do things.
Marsha,
All right, I'm going to pause and let you ask questions.
Question, Marsha.
Okay, who's speaking?
This is Barbara. Are you aware of any videos that they have in the support that would be really good for ESL speakers to watch?
Their audience is not for ESL learners, so no, I don't think so. I think they're going to speak at a normal rate, but they're very clear, and you might be able to look at them and say, this is a good one, my students can handle it. I didn't go poking around specifically for that purpose, but I bet that there are some ESL teachers who have made videos that you might be able to.
Oh, good.
I don't know about them. This is all beginning.
Yeah, we're the ones that are going to be making those probably.
Mm-hmm. Probably so. Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
You do? All right. Let's see if I have an answer.
Just so I understand, you said that in order to be a host and to open up a class like that, you have to make an account, correct? Or set up a free account?
You got it. Yes, sirree.
And that is done on zoom.us. Is that where that's done?
Right. Zoom.us. As long as you are in the US, that's the address we use. If you're in China, you have to do a different one. But if you're in US, you go zoom.us. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you're a CATESOL member, then you can get the you called it a pro account, or if .edu possibly, you said.
Okay, no, I'll say that again. It doesn't have to do with your being a CATESOL member. What I heard is that if you have an address that is a .edu, so you're already associated with a college or university, that you can apply for and get a pro account. But even if you can't, just start with a basic account and, get going with that.
Because you said the basic one, it forces you to log out after 40 minutes, and that can be a nuisance.
Yes and no, but I do want to tell you that 40 minutes online in front of a screen is a lot.
Yeah.
Really is. I think if any of you have been at these webinars like back to back, you're feeling it, right? Sitting in front of a screen and staring at it and trying to interact with people in different windows is not easy. And as a teacher, you will find yourself getting burnt out quickly if you try to do too much. So 40 minutes is actually not a bad thing. I'll tell you, my colleague, when I kind of like co-hosted her first class. It's normally the college class is 3 hours and 10 or 20 minutes. She usually has a break in the middle for about 15 minutes or so. And she did that online. And then afterwards I wrote to her and I said, I think I would advise you to make 3 55-minute sessions with a 10-minute break instead. Just break it up into 3 pieces. I think that you will have more retention and interaction overall. It's a lot of work if you intend for your participants to be interactive and work. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Marsha, I have a question. Marsha, in your experience, do you think if you started with a basic account, you could upgrade it to a pro account?
Yes, definitely. You can definitely upgrade to a pro account. And I don't think it's very expensive either, but I would say get started with your basic account they do have like a button that says, okay, now upgrade. You've tried this for whatever. I'm not even sure, you know, like some of them will give, some apps are like free for 30 days. I don't think this is that way. I think it's like, they're not going to take it away from you. So you can keep on going until such time as you go like, yeah, I'm ready to go to the next level.
Yeah, because mine's an adult school, so I don't know. We don't have an EDU account.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. So yours is an adult school. So that's why you would want to start with a, you would like to, you know, it would be a good idea for you to do the basic account and get started with that. Are you getting any assistance from your adult ed?
Well, they are still figuring out, like we had no opportunity to even prepare our students, just like we had class one day and the next day we were closed down. So we are still, our administration is still figuring out. So we are having our meeting tomorrow to, you know, kind of prize us of
what is the school? What school are you at?
Oh, Loma Vista and Mount Diablo Adult Ed.
Right. Okay. I think so many are in that situation. But what's really awesome is you ESL teachers going to be ahead of the curve compared to the teachers in the other areas because we are giving you this training.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I hope that you learned a little something.
Yes, and, thank you. I've been attending one each, you know, one of these every day since last week. So it's been wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, that's great. Now, I want to tell you that if you're a CATESOL member, you will be able to access recordings. However, this person here is going to be in charge of doing all the mushing of the digits to make them run as videos and then connect them and then put them in to CATESOL. So give me a little bit of time. And I'm not sure everybody's videos came out as expected or as something that could be useful to other viewers. If they are, they will be uploaded and we will have announcements. Because if you are a member, then you'll get your updates every month, right, about all the new stuff. So it'll come to you in your email that it'll tell you, okay, go to the website, go here, and you'll be able to see some stuff.
Why don't you tell us how much membership is and everything about it?
Okay, so what I want to do right now is send you, okay, I sent you the form, which I would like you to fill out. I know some of you are going like, oh God, another form, got to fill out another form, I already filled that form. But, you know, like it's really helpful if you give feedback to, not only to the particular facilitator, but also to the core group of people who are putting on these workshops. It helps us know what we should do moving forward. We would like very much to hold a virtual conference in place of those the regionals, which we had to cancel because of the pandemic. So we are squeezing our brains to figure out how to do this. And if you show us a little love, gives us a little oomph, and you know, like what kind of things you're interested in learning. Do you want to repeat this sort of stuff, or there's something else you want to do? You know, if you have any other topics, do you like the interactive stuff? Are you longing for the typical, you know, lecture and then 15 minutes later you get to ask a question sort of a thing, you know, one of those things. So if you are a member of CATESOL, you will have a lot of benefits. What are the benefits? Go to catesol.org and then go to membership, and then go to benefits of membership, because then you will see a whole list of things that you will get as a member. That
have to become the membership.
Yeah, and then you will also be able to find out the different categories of membership, because there are different prices for different categories of being. So check it out. It's really worth it. It'll also give you a discount on events that we put on.
This is one of the best slideshows I've seen.
Who's that, Ellen? No, that's
Barbara.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Barbara. Thank you. I've seen you in a couple of.
Yeah, it's the most helpful.
All righty, Ruth.
Marsha, you rock. You rock.
Is that Ellen? Ellen, thanks for your help. You guys are great. Well, you know, this is why. This is really why I do it, because ESL teachers, I think we are an awesome breed.
Thank you, Marsha.
Bye, for real, for real.
Thank you so much.
Adios, amiga.